My name is Anna Alcock, and this is my second art challenge done with my children, Isabella and Joshua. I am an artist printmaker, but I am an artist before I am a printmaker. Over the past 5 years, my art has focused on the memories and moments of making, the process and journey rather than the final pieces, although that is important too, and trying to weave a mythology and story into the realization of the finished print. My cancer diagnosis in 2015 has meant that spending time with my children and immersing myself in researching each piece has an additional urgency, as I want to leave a legacy and memories of making art for and with them. These films are part of my Inky Print challenges. Each film shows my response to a woman artist and invites others to the challenge of being inspired as well. This film is called Water and My Joshua, and is inspired by the work of fellow South African Marlene Dumas. The film was done next to the sea in a place that reminds me of the beaches of South Africa, where I grew up. Watching my son play was poignant, and I made my printing plates in situ, responding to the moment, using seawater for my watercolors, my fingers to paint with, and the sand from the beach as texture for my collograph plates, which I later printed in the studio. My children helped make the film. Marlene Dumas never paints directly from life, yet life in all its complexity is right there on the canvas. Her subjects are drawn from both public and personal references and include her daughter and herself. She plays with the imagination of her viewers, their preconceptions and fears. The sources she uses for her imagery are diverse and include newspaper and magazine cuttings, personal memorabilia, Flemish paintings and Polaroid photographs. The majority of her works may be categorized as portraits, but they are not portraits in the traditional sense. Rather than representing an actual person, they represent an emotion or a state of mind. In 1995, Marlene Dumas did 2 3-meter-long Magdalena images called Manet's Queen and Newman's Zip. The titles reference 2 modernist male painters. Here you can see one of them. Dumas says, "With the lighter one, it is painted in a very flat way. I mean, it is a bit simplistic, but I wondered if I could make something that is both a woman, but is also almost an abstract painting." She nicknamed the piece Newman's Zip after the American abstract expressionist painter Barnett Newman, who did flat color canvases with vertical lines, which he called zips. Marlene Dumas is prolific. In making this video, it was difficult to choose which pieces to share. There are so many that resonate. She plays with titles that have double meanings, and her work is filled with depth and layers of meaning. Some fill me with delicious disgust, which takes me on a journey of discovery, asking why I have responded in that way, and shows up my own inadequacies, like her work Fingers, done in 1999. Some fill me with wonder and joy. For example, her 5-year-old daughter, Helena, playing, drawing and painting over her mother's work in their series titled Underground, done in 1994 and 1995. At first glance, her works look spontaneous and expressive, the water and ink making decisions on what the final effect will be. But if you look carefully, you will see that so many are carefully considered with hidden meaning and filled with angst, trying to get just the right effect, like the diluted paint dribbles falling down the face and paint smears of the mouth in the piece titled For Whom the Bell Tolls, done in 2008. I am drawn to Marlene Dumas's work because she is not traditional. Her work is disquieting. Like me, she was born in South Africa and grew up in a country that still enforced apartheid. She emigrated to study further. She is a mother. Her work is intuitive and she responds emotionally to her subject matter. She creates ethereal portraits that aren't representational. She says of her paintings, "I would like my paintings to be like poems. Poems are like sentences that have taken their clothes off. The meaning of a poem is in its beat and rhythm, how the words move on the page. Poetry is writing that breathes and makes jumps and leaves spaces open, so we can read between the lines." Marlene Dumas was born in Cape Town, South Africa in 1953. She now works and lives in Amsterdam, and her figurative works have earned her a place amongst the most influential painters of the 20th and 21st centuries. This oil painting is of Mashika Langa, a South African artist and a friend of Marlene Dumas. She says, "One of the questions that I've been asked is it easier when you paint a picture of someone you know or someone you don't know? In a sense, there is no real difference for me. But when you use someone you do know, like Mashika, that also helps you make your choice about color. For example, because Mashika is a very dark South African artist. I've never painted the South African landscape, but maybe in a way I tried to paint the South African landscape and the skies also through the face of Mashika. I want to give him a blue forehead because I want to give him the night sky." Dumas also says, "I do believe that the essence of life is mysterious. So I'm not trying to categorize and to define something in a sort of static way. I want it to breathe." This print is an ode to my son, a wish for life, but it is also an acknowledgement of the ever-present death. That the world is a violent one, Dumas's work amply attests. She has painted death many times, and it is frightening. Death is ever present. Even in birth, death seems present. Talking of death as inspiration, Dumas says, "Why is there so little that moves you? Because we want to ignore evil and deny the body. Being touched has not so much to do with succeeding. The problem with contemporary art is that it's far too self-conscious. To my mind, when art is too well orchestrated, when it knows only too well how to manipulate its public and knows exactly what the public wants, then inevitably emotion is absent. Because, in my opinion, art that moves you has something ungainly about it, is in some way bound up with a combination of hesitation and something going wrong. If art is too shielded and protected, we end up smothering it to death."
Humble yourself by the side of the Lord. He shall lift you up. Humble yourself by the side of the Lord, and He shall lift you up. He shall lift you up, and He shall lift you up. Humble yourself by the side of the Lord.